They're finding their rhythm in New Orleans. It'll take a while. This is Bourbon Street 2 days on. From the sights and sounds they won't forget.
I think it's very sad and it's emotional.
I was heartbroken. A few of my friends had got caught up in it.
These are the victims of the New Year terror attack that killed 14 people. On Bourbon Street, more than 30 were injured, survivors like Jeremy Sensky.
I heard a massive noise and I thought that something fell. And I turned around, and when I turned around, that's pretty much all that I remember until I was on the ground. And I came back and there was this people screaming.
The FBI have issued photos of the attacker walking the streets before he drove his car into the crowd, and of one of his homemade bombs inside a cooler, a device that didn't go off.
This wasn't the man I knew.
The family of Shamsud-Din Jabbar has taken to television to convey their thoughts to his victims.
Our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to those families, the victims of those families, and those who were there to witness it.
Thousands had congregated on Bourbon Street to bring in the new year.
We were absolutely shocked.
Mike Kelly and Florence Moss had travelled from the UK.
How lucky were we?
We thought how lucky we were that
Yeah,
because we could have been on the street at that time.
Yeah, we were just basically here an hour before it type thing. So, but yeah, it was very lucky and very sad.
And lots of kids out celebrating. We thought how sad because it was such a young people's place at that time of night, and they were all partying and celebrating New Year.
Yeah.
Security at the end of Bourbon Street is a big part of the story here. 5 years ago, an assessment was done of measures in place. It raised concerns about street bollards that didn't appear to work and concluded this street was vulnerable to vehicular ramming. I asked the New Orleans police chief about security in place. Madam, do you acknowledge that you let the victims down by not having an appropriate security plan?
Oh, that's not the correct. That's not correct. We would disagree with that. We had a
plan that allowed an attacker to drive into a crowd.
And I take exception to that, and I do not agree with that.
It has to be a failure.
We do know that people have lost their lives, but if you're experienced with terrorism, you would not be asking that question.
Well, with respect, experience of terrorism surely requires appropriate security protection. It is a grim picture at the heart of New Orleans' French Quarter. They'll celebrate again in Bourbon Street, only now where there's party, there's prayer. James Matthews, Sky News, in New Orleans.